dito sa video na to, we're going to have a practice from an easy question, a medium question, hanggang sa mahirap na question. Okay? Just like what I did dun sa practice sa mga given na trigonometric functions, we're going to do the same thing here as well. Alright? So let's start with our first problem. So sa first problem, which is actually the easy one, let's get the derivative of arc cosine. Ay, bakit ako? Sorry. Arc cosine minus arc sine plus arc secant plus arc cosecant. How is this easy? If alam nyo kung paano nyo to i-substitute na derivative dito sa isa't isang mga terms, you will believe to yourself na it is easy. Ulitin ko how would you know na madali to? Kasi medyo mahaba yan right? Pero if you memorize the formulas given dito, then you will know that it's totally easy. Alright? So as you can see, all of the terms here are separated by the addition or subtraction operation. So mag-apply tayo ng sum and difference rule of differentiation. Kumbaga, i-differentiate natin sila isa't isa. So we will have the derivative of arc cosine minus the derivative of arc sine plus the derivative of, the derivative of arc secant plus the derivative of arc cosecant. Ayan. So now let's differentiate each of the terms. Una, sa first term, we have the derivative of arc cosine. So, ang derivative ng arc cosine ay almost the same lang sila sa derivative ng arc sine, pero negative siya. So therefore, ang derivative ng arc cosine is negative 1 all over the square root of 1 minus x squared. Minus, kunin natin derivative ng arc sine. So this is positive 1 all over the square root of 1 minus x squared. Okay? Now, dito sa third term, derivative ng arc secant. So derivative ng arc secant is 1 all over the absolute value of x times the square root of x squared minus 1. And lastly, plus derivative ng arc cosecant. So si derivative ng arc cosecant ay almost the same lang siya sa derivative ng arc secant. However, negative na lang siya. So therefore, we will have plus negative 1 all over the absolute value of x times the square root of x squared minus 1. Now, let's simplify. Itong dalawa, we can simplify them together, not only because, not only because they are exactly the same, kasi kung makikita mo yung first term at saka yung second term, magkapares talaga sila, but also, they are what you call as the similar fractions because both of them have the same denominators. So therefore, we're going to add the numerators together while copying the same denominator. Hence, combining the first two terms, we will have negative 2 all over the square root of 1 minus x squared. Okay. Dito naman sa sa third term at saka sa fourth term, try natin silang i-rewrite ulit. 1 all over the absolute value of x times the square root of x squared minus 1. Then dito sa last term, di ba meron tayong positive sign at meron tayong negative sign. So positive times negative, ano mangyayari? Di ba magiging negative? So we will have negative 1 all over the absolute value of x times the square root of x squared minus 1. And as you can see, both of them, ito, si third term at saka si fourth term dito, both of them, they are almost the same. Kasi magkapare-parehas lang sila ng, meron silang parehas na numerical value, meron silang parehas na numerator at saka si denominator. Kumbaga, they're almost the same. However, what differentiates them the most is that magkaiba ang kanilang sign. Okay? So that means, ano mangyayari? Ang mangyayari dyan, if you're going to add them together, we will have 0. Hence, makakancel to, magiging 0 to. Parang ganito lang yun guys eh. 2 minus 2. So as you can see, 2 the same numerical value, almost the same. Pero ito si positive, ito si negative. So therefore, 2 minus 2 is 0. Okay? The same thing dito. 1 all over x minus 1 all over x. Both of them are the same in terms of what they have in common. Number, a variable. Pero, both of them are different in terms of sign. Ito si positive, ito naman si negative. So 1 minus x minus 1 minus x is 0. So the same thing we did in here. So magiging 0 na siya overall. Therefore, what would be now our final answer? Our final answer is negative 2. Wait lang. Yan. Our final answer is negative 2 all over the square root of 1 minus x squared. See? This is by far the easiest question you're going to solve in this video. Now let's go to the next question. Dito naman, we have the derivative of arc cosine times arctangent plus arcsecant all over arc cosecant. Okay? So, in here, dito, we can apply sum and difference rule of differentiation kasi both terms are separated by the addition operation. So, what we will have here is this one. The derivative of arc cosine x times arctangent x plus the derivative of arcsecant x all over arc cosecant x. Ayan. So, it seems like parang hindi lang sum and difference rule ang apply natin dito, but the product rule and the quotient rule are to be applied. Kasi dito sa first term, as you can see, we have two terms are stick together. Okay? And on the second term, we have two terms that are in fraction form. So, dapat gagamit ka ng quotient rule. Okay? So, we will apply product rule and quotient rule. Pero let's take it slow. All right? So, let's take a look at the first term. So, we have the derivative of arc cosine times the times arctangent. So, by applying product rule, wait lang ha, gamit lang ng ibang ano. So, by applying product rule dito, you're going to pick which one is your U and which one is your V. Okay? Isolve ko siya dito. Okay? Let's try to solve the terms slowly. Alright? Slowly but surely. Okay. So, kunin natin derivative nila. So, I will let U be arc cosine and I will let V as arctangent. Okay? So, na yun, kunin natin yung derivative nilang dalawa. Ang derivative ng arc cosine is it is negative 1 all over the square root of 1 minus x squared. Alright? Then derivative ng v, which is derivative ng tangent x, arctangent x, I mean, this is 1 all over 1 plus x squared. So, the formula, this is what? U dv plus v du. Okay? Derivative ng mali. U times the derivative ng v plus v times the derivative ng u. Alright? So now, let's substitute. So yung u natin, we have arc cosine times dv or derivative ng v, which is 1 all over 1 plus x squared plus cv, which is the arctangent, times derivative ng u, we have negative 1 all over the square root of 1 minus x squared. Alright? So now let's solve. So if we're going to multiply yung dalawang terms dito sa unahan, we will have arc cosine all over 1 plus x squared. Next, if we're going to multiply arctangent x at saka si negative 1 all over the square root of 1 minus x squared, we will have negative arctangent x all over the square root of 1 minus x squared. So you can leave this as your final answer actually. Pwede na to. But if you want them to form them into a one whole fraction, since kasi dalawa silang fraction, tapos gusto mo silang i-combine into one, pwede naman. You need to apply butterfly technique. Okay? So how to apply butterfly technique? You're just going to cross multiply, then multiply the two denominators. So let's try that. So we will cross multiply. Let's multiply arc cosine at saka si square root of 1 minus x squared. So arc cosine times the square root of 1 minus x squared, we will have arc cosine x times the square root of 1 minus x squared. The next, copy the operation between them, which is C minus. The next, cross multiply, we will multiply arctangent x at saka si 1 plus x squared. So we will have arctangent x times quantity 1 plus x squared. Ayan. And last but not the least, we will now multiply the denominators together. So 1 plus x squared times the square root of 1 minus x squared, we will have, we will have 1 plus x squared times the square root of 1 minus x squared. Okay? So, ganun yung magiging sagot natin. Okay? So, once again, it's up to you, actually. It's up to you. Alright? For me, mas gusto ko pa to. Okay? So, later on, if I think na pwede ko naman to i-simplify lahat into a one whole fraction, then sure, why not? Pero for now, let's take the easy route. Okay? Kunin natin yung pinakamadaling route. So, nakuha natin yung derivative ng first term natin, which is ito yun di ba? Derivative ng arc cosine times the derivative ng arc tangent. So, in here, we have arc cosine x all over 1 plus x squared minus arctangent x all over the square root of 1 minus x squared. Now, let's proceed to the next term, which is derivative ng arcsecond at derivative ng wait lang, ulitin ko. Derivative ng arcsecond all over the derivative ng arccosecond. So, I'm gonna put some space here kasi I'm going to use the solution on the right side. So, I'm gonna put a border muna for a moment. Okay. Ayan. So now, let's get the derivative ng arcsecond all over arccosecond. Okay? So we will use this color. And let's begin. Okay, dito tayo. So ang derivative ng arcsecond all over arc cosecant, we will use quotient rule. So from the top, we have arc secant. On the bottom, we have arc cosecant. Alright? Now, kunin natin derivative ng top or d top. We will have what? We will have 1 all over the absolute value of x times the square root of x squared minus 1. Then, kunin natin derivative ng bottom or d-bot rather. So, derivative ng bottom, again, which is derivative ng arc cosecant, is almost the same as the derivative ng arc secant. However, negative na lang siya. So, magiging negative 1 all over the absolute value of x times the square root of x squared minus 1. So, we can now substitute the formula. So, ang formula ng quotient rule ay bottom or bot times the derivative ng top or d top minus top times the derivative ng bottom. All over, i-square natin si bottom. Ayan. Let's now substitute. Si bottom, this is arc cosecant. Si d top, which is 1 all over the absolute value of x times the square root of x squared minus 1. Minus si top, which is si arc secant, times derivative ng bottom or d-bot, which is negative 1 all over the absolute value of x times the square root of x squared minus 1. Ngayon, square natin si bottom, we have the square of arc cosecant. So now, let's simplify. So, i-multiply natin to, yung nasa numerator. So, what we will have here is we will have arc cosecant x all over the absolute value of x times the square root of x squared minus 1. Next, dito sa second term, since we have negative arc secant at negative 1 all over the absolute value of x times the square root of x squared minus 1, then we will have positive arc secant x all over the absolute value of x times the square root of x squared minus 1 all over the square of arc cosecant. Ayan. So on the first term, we can still simplify this one actually. Pwede pa itong simplify. Alright? So if you're going to simplify this one, what you're going to do is you're going to add them together and copy their denominator. Kasi both of them are similar fractions. Magkapare-pareha sila ng denominator. So we can just simply add the numerators together, then copy the denominator. Hence, we will have arc cosecant x plus arc secant x all over the absolute value of x times the square root of x squared minus 1 all over the square of arc cosecant. Ayan. So what to do next? We're going to reciprocate this fraction. I-simplify natin to. So what we will have here, if you're going to reciprocate them, magiging ganito yung tsura niya. Arc cosecant x plus arc secant x all over the absolute value of x times the square root of x squared minus 1 times 1 all over the square of arc cosecant x. So once we reciprocate them, we can now multiply them together. Hence, pagka-multiply natin together, meron na tayong arc cosecant x plus arc secant x all over the square of arc cosecant x times the absolute value of x times the square root of x squared minus 1. See, mahaba sagot niya pero worth it. At yan yung magiging sagot natin sa derivative ng arc secant all over arc cosecant. Okay? So hence, what we will have here is that the answer for the second term is arc cosecant plus arc secant all over arc cosecant squared times the absolute value of x times the square root of x squared minus 1. Yan yung magiging sagot natin. Okay, this is your final answer. Or, pwede pa natin siyang i-simplify actually. Okay? So, you see, sabi ko kanina, we can use this as your final answer, di ba? So, if you want, pwede naman. I-copy-paste lang natin siya kasi medyo mahaba to. Okay? So, if ito yung pinili mong sagot, ito na yung magiging resulta. Okay? Tapos, i-copya natin yung derivative ng second term. Which is, I have no space. Dito ko lang siya ilagay. Wait lang for a moment. Iusog ko lang to konti. Ayan, dito na tayo. Yan. Ayan lang ha. That's it. Okay? So in here, we can have this one as your final answer as well. Kung gusto nyo. So pwede rin to. Kasi to at least, na-simplify natin to into a one whole fraction. So, pwede na to. Okay? Pwede rin to. Pero guys, if you want to take the risk, kumbaga like, gusto mo gawin natin tong into a one whole fraction, then para sa akin, so be it. There's no problem. For me, wala naman tong problema. However, it would be tedious. Kumbaga, you will be doing a lot of work. Kasi to, it is actually longer than, it's actually longer than yung ginagawa natin butterfly technique kanina. Saan ba yun? Ito, di ba? This one, it's easy to do butterfly technique here. Okay? But for this one is actually longer than this one. So that means you can still apply butterfly technique to make them into a one whole fraction. You can still do that. However, kagaya ng sinabi ko kanina, it's tedious. Like, mahaba to talaga. Super haba talaga. So, it's up to you. Kung gusto nyo siyang i-simplify into a one whole fraction or hayaan lang natin siya. Okay? So, of course, for me, which one would I prefer? So, kapag ito'y parang, basta kahit anong sagot, hindi lang kailangan na i-simplify pa, then for me, this is my final answer. Okay? Pero, if there are some other choices talaga na hindi ganito itsura, then maybe, possibly, or probably, ito na yung magiging sagot. Just giving you some multiple correct answers. Basta, tawag nito, if you want to simplify, if you think there's some other correct format or correct way to simplify this one, then so be it. Basta tama lang siya. Now, let's go to the hard question. So dito, we will be having the derivative of arc sin x minus arc cosine x all over arc secant x minus arc cosecant x. All right. This one is a bit longer, pero kaya pa natin itong i-solve. All right. I consider this one as the hardest because this one is actually very tedious too. Okay. So, let's pick kung sino yung si top, sino si bottom. So, si top, syempre yung nasa numerator, yung nasa taas. So, yung top natin is we have arc sin x minus arc cosine x. Bottom, sa baba, we have arc secant x minus arc cosecant x. Now, kunin natin yung derivative ng top at saka derivative ng bottom. So, first, in derivative ng top, kunin natin derivative ng arc sin x. Derivative ng arc sin x is 1 all over the square root of 1 minus x squared. Minus derivative ng arc cosine, which is negative 1 all over the square root of 1 minus x squared. So, let's simplify. We have negative outside and negative inside of the parentheses. So, negative times negative is positive. So, magiging 1 all over 1 minus x squared plus 1 all over the square root of 1 minus x squared. Now, add them together kasi both of them are similar fractions and because both of them have the same denominator, so i-add natin silang dalawa, we will have 2 all over the square root of 1 minus x squared. Alright? Now, kunin natin derivative ng bottom. So, yung derivative ng bottom, first, let's kunin natin derivative ng arc secant x. So, ang derivative ng arc secant x is the absolute value of x times the square root of x squared minus 1 minus derivative ng arc cosecant x. We have negative 1 all over the absolute value of x times the square root of x squared minus 1. So, parehas lang dun sa derivative ng top. We have negative and negative, outside and inner, so magiging positive yan. So, we will have 1 all over the absolute value of x times the square root of x squared minus 1 plus 1 all over the absolute value of x times the square root of x squared minus 1. So, add them together kasi they are both similar fractions. We will have 2 all over the absolute value of x times the square root of x squared minus 1. So, mahaba to. So, now, let's use the formula. Okay? So, bottom times the derivative ng top minus top times derivative ng bottom all over the square ng bottom. So, let's give this a try. Bottom, we have arc secant x minus arc cosecant x times derivative ng top, which is 2 all over the square root of 1 minus x squared. Minus si top, which is arc sin x minus arc cosine x times derivative ng bottom, we have 2 all over the absolute value of x times the square root of x squared minus 1. All over, square natin si bottom, which is square ng arc secant x minus arc cosecant x. Ayan. So now let's simplify. Medyo mahaba-haba to. So on the first term, we have arc secant x minus arc cosecant x times 2 all over the square root of 1 minus x squared. So if we're going to multiply them together, we will have 2 times arc secant x minus arc cosecant x all over the square root of 1 minus x squared. Minus, eto, if you're going to multiply negative quantity, arc sin x minus arc cosine x, and 2 times all over the absolute value of x times the square root of x squared minus 1, magiging ano na to? Negative 2 times the 2 times quantity, arc sin x minus arc cosine x all over the absolute value of x times the square root of x squared minus 1. Ayan. Then, let's copy the denominator. Okay. Now, in here, you can leave this as your final answer. Pero again, this is complicated. Okay, medyo complicated to. So we need to simplify this one. First, we can simplify the numerator by applying butterfly technique. Okay, we can simply combine, what do you call this one? Combine the numerators into one whole fraction. However, para hindi na tayo mahirapan pa, there's another way to, to simplify this answer. Okay? Para hindi na tayo mahirapan or, para hindi tayo magkaroon ng isang fraction na simplified pero mukhang namang siyang complicated. Okay? So dito sa whole expression na to, pwede akong mag-factor out. Ano yung factor out ko rito? Okay? Ang i-factor out ko rito, si 2 all over the square of arcsecond x minus arccosecond x. Okay? Kasi yan yung greatest common factor nilang dalawa, which is 2 all over the square of arcsecond x minus arccosecond x. So if that's the case, ganito maging resulta niya pag na-factor out natin si 2 all over the square of arcsecond x minus arccosecond x. So maging ganito na siya. 2 all over the square of arcsecond x minus arccosecond x times quantity arcsecond x minus arccosecond x. Tama ba ako? Yeah. Arccosecond x all over, sorry po, all over the square root of 1 minus x squared minus arcsine x minus arccosine x all over the absolute value of x times the square root of x squared minus 1. So, pwede na to as your final answer. Yeah, I'm not kidding because this one is much simpler than making this one into a one whole fraction. Okay? And kung gusto nyo siyang gawin tong isang whole fraction itong sa loob sa parentheses, then pwede. Wala namang actually na na problem dito actually. There's no problem. Okay? So if you want to make this into a one whole fraction, then ganito maging resulta niya. Okay? First and foremost, i-kopya ko muna yung teka lang ha. Sorry, going back, nag-crash kasi yung yung Microsoft, ano tawag nito? Note? Yeah, Microsoft Note ko. So, anyways, you can actually make this one into yung one whole fraction kung gusto mo, kung gusto mo. Okay? So, kopya muna natin yung katabi niya. Then, let's make this one into a one whole fraction. So, cross-multiply natin. We have arcsecond x minus arccosecond x times the absolute value of x times the square root of x squared minus 1. Ganito maging tsura niya. So we will have the absolute value of x times quantity arcsecond x minus arccosecond x times the square root of x squared minus 1. Next, i-copy natin yung operation nila sa gitna, which is ito yun, si minus sign. So magiging minus. Then next, cross-multiply natin itong dalawa. Okay? So we have arcsine x minus arccosine x times the square root of 1 minus x squared. So magiging quantity, quantity tuloy. Hindi na kailangan. Okay? So magiging ano to? Hindi. Sorry. Quantity pala. Patawarin nyo ako guys. Quantity pala. So quantity, arcsine x minus arccosine x times the square root of 1 minus x squared. Ayan na siya. Then, all over, multiply natin yung dalawang numerator sa baba, magiging ano na to? Absolute value of x times the square root of quantity 1 minus x squared times quantity x squared minus 1. Pwede na to as your final answer. Okay? So, paano ko to nagawa? So kapag kasi minultiply mo yung dalawang denominator, ganito kasi maging tsura niya. 'Di ba? Maging square root of 1 minus x squared times the square root of x squared minus 1. or baliktarin mo sila ng position, it's still the same. Okay? And as you can see, both of them may have different insides. Pero, magkapareha sila ng radical sign kasi pareha silang square root. So, why not, kapag combine natin silang dalawa, okay, then, kumbaga like, what if we can combine them together para magkasama sila sa isang root? Parang ganito to eh. Square root of x times square root of y. As you can see, merong square root si x, di ba? At merong square root si y. So both of them may square roots. So why not ipagsama na lang natin silang dalawa? Magiging square root of x times y. Gets nyo? So, despite na magkaiba sila sa loob, pero pares naman silang may square root, so why not, di ba? Why not ipagsama na lang natin silang dalawa? So therefore, if you're going to combine them together, magiging ano na to? The absolute value of x times the square root of quantity minus x squared times quantity x squared minus 1. Ganyan yung maging resulta. And this is also one of your final answers. So, pwede na rin to actually. Or, kung gusto nyo like, i-multiply nyo sila, like itong fraction na to, at itong mahabang fraction, then sure, no problem. Pero again, it would be what? It would be, actually, hindi naman siya mahirap. Pero magiging complicated yung answer niyo. Okay? So, pwede naman if you like to combine them together. Kasi tama naman sila. So, overall, I'm gonna stop right here. And I'm just gonna give you these two possible answers. And consider pa rin yun kapag gusto mo tong i-multiply itong dalawa. Okay? Yung hindi naka-factored. Kumbaga, i-multiply mo lang silang dalawa. Sure, there's no problem to me at all. Wala namang problema dyan. Okay? It's still correct. So, yun lang naman guys. I hope you have learned something in this video. Alright? So, the next topic naman tayo is hyperbolic trigonometric function. Okay? Then after that, after that, we will now proceed sa exponential and logarithmic function. And of course, last but not the least, is yung chain rule of differentiation. Alright? Chain rule of differentiation. Okay? So that's it lang naman guys. So I hope you have learned something in this video. See you